Says the Ben Ish Chai, Alav Shalom. Quotes Pirkei Avot in chapter 2. It says, "Retafron Omer Yom Kasar. The day is short. Melacham Merubah. The work is much. Poalim Atzilim. The workers are lazy. V'aschar Merubah. And the reward is great." So we have a very short life in this world. King David says, "Blink your eyes, and it's already gone." And we have to accomplish great things. We have a lot of things to do, but problem is we're lazy. If you think about it, in 2 hours of praying and learning in the shul, a person can build the olam haba for eternity. And that's why the Pirkei Avot says that the reward is great. Imagine you get paid $100 an hour you work. You get paid $1,000 an hour you work. You get paid $10,000 an hour that you work. Hashem pays us for an hour of prayer and an hour of learning. He pays us eternity, olam haba. You're getting paid hundreds of millions of dollars an hour. So, a person has to think about this, and therefore, don't be so lazy. And also, if you miss out, how annoyed does a person have to be that he missed out and he could have got paid so much? Also, he says if there's not much competition, then that's another reason why workers are lazy. Oh, there's no competition. What's the big deal? Customer's going to come anyways, right? And if he does his work professionally, he gets more and more experience, more and more skill, and then becomes a master of whatever the skill you're doing. When Moshe Rabbeinu was on Har Sinai, he didn't sleep 40 days, 40 nights. A person can hear this and say, wow, how's that possible? It's impossible. But he was so afraid to miss a detail from the Torah. It's such a reward you're going to get. So therefore, there was no such thing as being lazy and sleeping. In a certain amount of, a little bit of time a day, a person can gain so much. A person should try to give out from his time. Don't say you don't have time. It's so worthwhile. There's a lot of times people get annoyed. For example, if Hazan takes a little bit longer, oh, why did he schlep it out? If we finished 10 minutes late, the minyan. Why 10 minutes late we finished? No. Davai, Arvit, express. You have to express. So, person has to know that, what do you mean? For every minute that you're here, you get tremendous reward. So therefore, why should a person think like that? A person can spend hours talking to his friends. People who can spend hours gambling. A person can spend hours playing games to give a few minutes for the Chazan, a few minutes for Amidah, extra to have kavanah, to slow down a little bit. There's no fire. Where are you running? Where are you rushing? So a person has to know it's worthwhile to make that investment. So he says, or Tarfon says, the day is short. What does that mean? He says, can you close that window, please? Thank you. The day refers to a person's life. Even if it lasts 80 years, a person should only think of it as one day. Why? Because the Rebbe says, do b'teshuvah one day before you die. What does it mean, do teshuvah one day? When are you going to die? You don't know. So therefore, every day, you should be in a constant state of teshuvah. He brings a mashal. He uses one summer day. There was a king who was followed with his servant going and hunting. So he said to the servant, go invite somebody to have dinner with me. So the servant looked around and he saw there was a shepherd over there. He went to the shepherd and he says, listen, come, the king wants to have dinner with somebody, you're going to be his guest. So he said to the shepherd, the king said to the shepherd, wash your hands, come eat with me. He said, the shepherd said, I'm sorry, I can't come with you. He said, the king said, why? He said, the shepherd said, somebody already greater than you called me. I'm invited out already. He said, who's that? He says, God. The shepherd says, God called me out already. He commanded me to fast today, and therefore I'm fasting. He says, how can you fast in such a heat, it's such a hot day? Eat with me today. Go fast tomorrow. He says, don't worry, I will fast today. How can you guarantee I'll have tomorrow? So therefore, a person has to know, we don't know what's to be tomorrow. Therefore, Adam Rishon, right? It says that the day you will eat from the tree of knowledge, it'll be the day that you die. Adam ate from the forbidden fruit, and he on the very first day that he was alive, and he ended up living another 930 years. So what does it mean? How's it possible? If Hashem said the day you will die, the day you eat from me, you'll die. Why didn't he die? So the day for Hashem is 1,000 years. So then why did he talk to him? Why didn't he say to him one day? He should have said 1,000 years. He was hinting to Adam Rishon, your whole life is 930 years. For me, one day is 1,000 years. Well, you should know, even though for you it's a long time, you should still view your life as a one day. Even though 930 years is your life, you should always view it as one day. So that's why he called it the day you will eat it, the day you will die. So therefore, a person has to always remember our life as if it's only one day. As it says over here, he quotes from Ben Zoma in chapter 4. Ben Zoma says, Ezu Gibor, Kovesh et Yitzro. Who is mighty? He locks up his inclination, his evil inclination. Right? So a person has to utilize his evil inclination like a tool. You have to use it in the right place and not use it in the wrong place. There was a mashal he brings over here, very interesting. He says the guy named Natan, he came to Chacham and he's crying to the Chacham. He says, Rabbi, I have a very difficult situation. He said, what happened? He says, I have 3 difficult wives. Back in the day, they were able to marry multiple wives. He had very difficult three wives. They forced me to go against the Torah, and they drag me wherever they want to go. What do I do? So the Chacham asked him, what's their names? He says the first one's name is envy, jealousy. Second one's name is lust, desire. And the third one's name is kavod, honor. So he said, oh, the Chacham said, my son, Tepapal, you fell. Because the Mishnah says, the kinat, ava, vekavod, motzina, adam and olam. He says, you're married to envy, lust, and kavod. That removes a person from the world, says the Pirkei Avot. So you have to get divorced. You have to divorce them. Get rid of them. He says, Rabbi, I can't divorce them. Each of them knows exactly what I need and how to cook for me and how to, run my schedule and everything. It's very hard to find another person who will be able to do this. He says, also, I have a lot of things I owe them in the Ketubah. For example, in Envy's contract, it says I have to give her clothes and jewelry of the upper class woman. Instead of staying home, Envy goes out to the parties and hangs out with the fancy ladies. Whenever she sees a new necklace, a new dress, she demands that I buy it for her. She's always jealous. It's never enough for her. And there's no end. And he says, lust, her contract, what does it say? It says I have to give her always money. The problem is her purse is elastic. What happens? Every time I put, it gets bigger, it gets empty again. I put, it gets empty again. She never has the money all the time. I gave her the money yesterday, the money's already gone. She buys everything she sees. So he says, yes, whenever a person has 100, you want 200. You have 200, you want 400. And he says in the contract of kavod, he says she sits amongst the wealthy women, she demands that I outdo them. She always has to outdo the other person, that way she gets kavod from them. And I can't keep up, so I can't get rid of them, but I can't satisfy them. What do I do? So he said, let me give you some guidance. He says a man has 2 inclinations that could lead him to sin. One is called the natural human nature, right? And then there's the other one called Yesara, which makes it think not just human nature, even to do evil. So he says envy, lust, and kavod comes from a person's natural inclination. That's normal. It's envy you need for mitzvot also. For example, kinat sufrim tarbeh chokhmah. When you're jealous of religious people or wise people, you're going to grow. A person needs to have desires also, because you need to eat food on Shabbat. You need to have pruvu. You need to wear nice clothes for Shabbat. You need to use their desires for those mitzvot. And kavod, we need to be worried not to ruin our name, to have a bad name for averot. The person kavod can help you also to do mitzvot. So what should I do with them? He says, I'll give you a solution. He says, let's say a person has chickens in his backyard. So chickens are good. Each day they'll lay eggs. But if they come out of the chicken coop and they run loose, then they could destroy your house. You can't let them into your house, right? So he says, what should we do? He says the same thing as the kinat, ta'ava, and kavod. As long as you lock them up in your body and you use them for the right things, good. But if you let them run free, so then it'll be a balagan for you. So therefore, what did he tell him to do? He told him that you have to know when to let each one out. You have to know when to use each one and what situations to put them in. Obviously, a person can't get rid of these things. You need to have them. You need to have kinat, ta'ava, and kavod. But the person has to know what to do with them properly. There was another story. Similarly, I read that one time he wanted to get rid of them, so he got rid of the one that was ta'ava, was desire, and the other ones got jealous, and the other ones saw that she was having a better life, so therefore they left automatically also. So the person has to know that everything is in your hands, depending if you want to use it for good or use it for bad. It's all in your hand. These tools are meant for us to build. But the Salanter famously said that if you don't know what your tools are to build, So how could you break? Imagine a guy breaks the wall, but he doesn't know what tools he has to build. So what's the point of breaking the wall? Person has to know what tools you have that are good to build, and then only then you can work on yourself.